Hey yo, what is up guys? Your boy is back with yet another video, and in this one, similar to my Sami Zayn one from last week and my Bray Wyatt one, we're going to be talking about dashing Cody Rhodes. So now, Cody Rhodes, he has a huge match coming up at WrestleMania. Obviously, no, he's probably main eventing WrestleMania Sunday against Roman Reigns in what is going to be a huge match, and in my opinion, I hope he wins. I think we need new faces in that position of the world champion. It's like, if Cody doesn't beat Roman, who beats Roman? And if Sami Zayn and Drew weren't winning the titles in their home countries and Cody doesn't win it here, I don't really see the point in having Roman win both those matches the way he did. So I obviously think he's probably going to be dropping the belts. We're probably heading in towards the end of the bloodline, because that's kind of what the whole story is going towards, with Sammy going after Jay and Jimmy for the tag belts, and the plan is to beat the bloodline. That seems like we're in the culmination of that story. So let's talk about Cody Rhodes. So a lot of people say, like, Cody Rhodes, his story is so simple. It's just he wants to win the world championship, and he just goes on to win the Royal Rumble, and he gets injured. And it's like a lot of people kind of forget the story of Cody, because Cody Rhodes' story isn't just necessarily in the last year, it's his entire career, is what I think a lot of people are missing out on. It's his family legacy, it's everything that's building towards this, and him coming up and winning the world title. So that's what this was all about. And it all started back in his first run through WWE. And let's talk about that. So we're not going to talk about, obviously, his debut and legacy, because I think I could talk about legacy in another video. So we're actually going to be talking about when I became a fan of Cody. And that's when he was the IC title, when he was on his first little run, singles run on his own. So he had some matches against Rey Mysterio that I was watching, and they were really good matches. He had a match at WrestleMania 27 against Rey, which was a really good match, and they followed it up with an Extreme Rules match. Not an Extreme Rules, a Falls Count Anywhere match at Extreme Rules 2011 there. Again, another solid match. And the thing I noticed about Cody Rhodes throughout watching these matches is his style completely complements whoever he's in the ring with. Very old school heel style wrestling here. And that he doesn't try to do all these big, elaborate, fancy moves. He just does his moves. And yeah, it's not really trying to take away from the good guy wrestler he is facing. So him facing Rey's the faster, smaller opponent who does all the flips and dives. And so Cody just tries to ground him, beat him up, win through heelish tactics like using his mask and hitting him in the face with that. So back then he was wearing a mask and he was hideous. So people would take pictures of him and he'd come out with the hood up. And yeah, so he ends up winning the IC title from Ezekiel Jackson. I think I did see that match on SmackDown way back in the day. I actually couldn't find it. I was trying to find it online. It's kind of hard to get the WWE Network in Canada. They make it really weird, so I've kind of been struggling with that. So watching stuff online is more up my alley to how to watch stuff. But anyway, so yeah, I remember him having a little bit of a feud with Ezekiel Jackson, and he ends up winning the IC title here around this point. And I remember they have the matchup on YouTube where he has this great street fight with Randy Orton. And again, like, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, third generation, second generation wrestlers coming up in the game. So yeah, again, just another solid match for Cody. And again, that's the thing about Cody, is that he's a really solid wrestler and a really good wrestler. Just a really great talent. And so during this IC title reign is where I became a fan of his. So I actually started watching wrestling I'd watch Raw and SmackDown again, other than just watching old matches on YouTube. At this point, I actually started watching Raw and SmackDown each and every week to catch up, because it's like I stopped watching after the Benoit incident. And so I started watching Cody, and yeah, around this time, I just thought he was a really athletic dude. He was really, he just had a really good look to him. He had that awesome theme song, and I love that Shattered Mirrors theme song that he would come out to, and he'd come out with that hood and be on top of his head. He just looked like just such a great athlete. And yeah, even though I normally cheer for the good guys, but even though he was a villain, I did actually really like him, and I did appreciate just how good he was in the ring. And Yeah, and he had a really great moveset. The Crossroads is just sick. It's a lot like the RKO, only a little bit cooler. Not cooler, but like just adding that spin to it. And yeah, the Disaster Kick I thought just looked so nasty. And yeah, so he had a really, really solid moveset. The Alabama Slam was really cool. He just, had a really great moveset here. What put him on the map for me was his feud with Booker T. Booker T and him had a trilogy of matches starting at TLC, which Cody won after attacking him a few times in the back. And yeah, it was actually like the Raw after TLC that I started watching again, because I think that's when CM Punk, Zack Ryder, and Daniel Bryan were all champions. So they had that really cool main event at the end of the show, which I don't know, just had a really good feel to it. Anyways, that's not about this, but yeah, Cody, he was appearing on both shows. So he ends up picking up the first one against Booker T, and Booker T wins the second one, and which was a really good match on Raw. I remember him like trying to hit the scissor kick, and it was a really good match. But Cody ultimately, in the end, on SmackDown, it happened a couple weeks later, he picks up the victory against Booker, and it felt like you were really pulling for Booker to win, but in the end, Cody, he seals the deal and solidifies himself as the next big IC champion. And yeah, he brought a lot of his prestige back to the belt. Like he held it for quite a number of days. He defended it all the time. He brought back that cool white belt, which to me is just such an amazing looking belt. So I think most people would agree with that the belt just looks awesome. So yeah, Cody just did a lot for the IC title. He ends up defending it, and I think the thing about this was it was the first time the IC title was defended at WrestleMania in like however long, like, and that was like a big thing for Cody. So you can just tell Cody's just a huge wrestling fan. So he ends up defending against Big Show at WrestleMania. And in the lead up to this match, I'll never forget the line when Cody Rhodes calls Big Show, you're the reverse Undertaker, because all he would do is lose at WrestleMania. And it had a really good build to the match. Now, the match itself isn't very long. It's only like 5 minutes. I remember watching it. Like, I think WrestleMania 28 was like 4 hours long, but obviously you had some pretty marquee big matches on the show, so it was just good for Cody to get out there. And you know what, they had a good match. It wasn't like very long, but nothing terrible, just a solid undercard match. Not exactly Bret Hart versus Roddy Piper at WrestleMania, but you know what, you gotta take what you can get, I guess. Right. Following that up at Extreme Rules, where Cody gets the fluke win where he kind of kicks Big Show off the apron, and Big Show steps through the table, and that's how he recaptures the IC title. And he ends up losing it at the next pay-per-view against Christian. Again, during this time, he was wrestling just really, really big names, or like names from the past that, not past, but like really established stars at that point. So it was a really, really good thing for Cody that he was able to do all that. Like Rey Mysterio, Randy Orton, obviously, who he came up in the game with, and obviously he worked with Shawn Michaels and Undertaker for that. But like during this time of his IC title reign was like Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, Booker T, Big Show. I think he had some matches with Sheamus in there as well. So yeah, he just had a really, really big run going here, all the way up to him not being able to recapture the belt at No Way Out 2012. So it kind of ended his whole little IC title reign. Now, he probably had matches for it a little bit after that, or involved in some number one contendership, but it was never like he was in the picture of it anymore. So, or like contending for it. So that was really the whole like Cody Rhodes IC title reign, which for me like made me a really big fan of his. And obviously what came after that was the Rhodes Scholars and the Rhodes Brothers. And yeah, he obviously went on to do really, really big things in the company. Really just became a solid mid-carder. Let's just be honest, call it what it is. Cody Rhodes was a solid mid-card guy in the WWE at this point. So let's ask the question, why was Cody Rhodes never able to reach the main event like he was in 2022, and obviously main eventing WrestleMania 20 in 2023 here? So why I think that is. Okay, so during the time of Cody Rhodes coming up in the game through this whole thing, there from 2012 to 2013, when he was more, let's say, likely that you could give him that main event run, the WWE Championship was contested by CM Punk, John Cena, The Rock, Daniel Bryan, and Randy Orton. 5 pretty huge names in the wrestling industry at that point. So Cody Rhodes, he obviously wasn't on that level. I think most people would agree with that. especially at that time, he was not as over as those guys were. And yeah, so I don't think you could really have went with him in those big money spots. Obviously, I shouldn't have to explain that. So I think that kind of explains that away. All right. So next up, we got the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, you could probably make an argument that he could have gotten into this spot, which, yeah, you could argue that, but it's not like... I mean, Sheamus, he had a really great run as World Championship, and he did a really good work as the World Champion, so I 100% agree with Sheamus and the run he had in 2012 there. He ended up losing it to the Big Show, who was on a pretty big heel run at the time, and yeah, he was a pretty well-hated big man, but ultimately the Big Show ended up losing to Alberto Del Rio, who they were trying to set up as their next big Latino star, because I think Rey Mysterio was either injured or he was gone from the company for quite a bit here. So obviously they're trying to set up their Latin America audience by really getting behind Alberto Del Rio. I think everyone knows that, pretty obvious there. So Dolph Ziggler, again, really over with the audience at this time, really popular, cashes in Money in the Bank on Alberto Del Rio. So this ultimately ended up with Cena getting the belt and Randy Orton culminating at TLC 2013, where they unified the belts. So now after that, after the belts got unified, got a little bit farther away from Cody Rhodes. He just wasn't going to really get to that level at that point. He just was going to struggle in that environment. And obviously with the whole Stardust thing, it all just kind of, he just wasn't going to get to that level. So, you know what I'm saying? It's not that he wasn't good enough to do it, not that he couldn't be great, because we all know that. It took him going away, starting up a whole nother company and rising his stock on the independent scene, much like a lot of other guys did, much like Drew McIntyre went away, Jinder Mahal went away, came back. There's some other people who I'm trying to think of who went away and came back. They leave me, but you get what I'm saying. Like, Cody Rhodes really went and built his stock. Like, he started a company, wrestled in New Japan. He created this whole following outside of WWE, which made him a bigger star. So when he came back, it's like, all right, we have to kind of establish him as a major star because we have this whole competition going here. So we got to treat Cody well. So that's obviously how Cody established himself as a main eventer. And also his promos have gotten just amazing. I don't remember him cutting those kind of promos like he did in 2012 compared to the great promos he cuts now. So Cody Rhodes, again, it was the whole story has been leading up to this point just throughout his entire career. And yeah, so that's kind of the story of dashing Cody Rhodes and why now the American Nightmare is going to be main eventing WrestleMania, not dashing Cody Rhodes. But obviously, I'm a huge Cody Rhodes fan. I always was, as I established that in the beginning of the video. So yeah, I hope he wins at WrestleMania 39. So let's do this. Anyways, let me know what you guys think of Cody Rhodes. What were your thoughts? What's your favorite Cody Rhodes match? And yeah, what do you think of WrestleMania 39 so far shaping up to look like? So like the video, comment, and subscribe.